Hey everybody, it's John Weisenberger, founder of ezGlobalPublishing.com, and in today's video I want to talk about multilingual search engine optimization. So what the heck is that, you say? What is MSEO? Well, in global marketing, one of the things I teach my clients in other industry segments like manufacturing or hotel, bed and breakfast, real estate agents and whatnot, is the idea that just like as an indie author, you need to be visible around the world. So you need to find ways to draw people into your website or wherever you're promoting your product, and in this case it'll be our books, so they will discover your book and then have a better chance of purchasing it, or what you want to do is at least drive them to wherever that book is being sold. So the idea around multilingual search engine optimization is to attract people who don't speak English. In a nutshell, most of us in the United States speak English. If you're from Canada or Australia or South Africa or wherever English is spoken, don't forget our friends in the UK. You want to have people in other languages discover your website. And the problem today is almost 90% of the searches on the web, in fact some people would say it's really 99% of all searches done on the internet today are actually begun in some other language other than English. So for example, if someone in France is searching for anything online, a book on how to retire wealthy, they're probably going to enter in their search engine a keyword in the French language, and then all the results will come up, and when that happens they will search through those results and click on a link that looks attractive to them. So the big thing you need to understand is, in today's rapidly segmenting online marketplace, what you're going to find out is Google is not the dominant search engine in many countries. So I'll give you an example. One of the things I'll show you here is, you may not know this, but there's a large search engine in China called Baidu. And Baidu is essentially, it is the Google of China. They are the dominant market share in China, and most searches in the Chinese language will happen on Baidu. If you move over to Russia, and a lot of you know around the world that Russia and the Cyrillic languages are growing very rapidly. So Yandex is the dominant market share leader in Russia as far as search engines go. And if you look here, you'll see that they cover worldwide Belarus and Turkey and the Ukraine. So when people in those countries go looking for a book, they're not going to Google and typing in an English description of what they're looking for. They're going to Yandex and they're going to type in the Cyrillic or Russian or Ukrainian language, version of what they're looking for. And then I'll give you one last one. If you think about South Korea, here is a country that's got some of the largest distribution of broadband networks in the world, very, very internet online culture, and the big search engine there is Naver. So if someone in South Korea is looking for an ebook, they're not going to go to Google or Yahoo or Bing and type in the search engine terms they're looking for. They're going to go to Naver. So I wanted you to understand that when you're thinking about marketing your book globally, if you're thinking about, like we discussed in earlier videos, about someone going into an Amazon.com Kindle store and typing in the title of a book they're looking for or a subject that they're looking for, what they're really going to do most of the time, if they're typing in English, well, they're going to go to Amazon.com and they're going to find your book there. But if they're typing in German or French, there might be an Amazon.com local country website for those languages. And one of the earlier videos in our 7-step Easy Global Publishing roadmap we talked about was getting your Amazon author profile pages set up in all those other languages and on those other websites. But in addition to that, you have to show up in these search engine results for these other languages, and it's important that you keep that in mind as you look at the promotions for your website, whether you do them yourself or whether you hire a third-party outsource provider to do this work for you. You need to understand that they need to be able to discover your website or your blog in these other languages. So how do you do that? Well, the thing that you need to do and what you need to understand is you don't need to translate your entire website. So I'm going to use an example here of one of my sites. It's the What is Global Marketing for Small Business website for my earlier books. And this particular website has an English version here, as you can see, right? That if I go down through here, this is basically the home page for promoting this book and all my services around coaching or speaking and things like that. But we'll take an example of a multilingual search engine optimized page for a Spanish or Hispanic set of search engines. So if someone in Argentina or someone in Mexico or someone speaking Spanish in the United States is looking on a Spanish search engine, they're going to want to find this website, and you want it to show up in those search engines. So here's an example of what's called a doorway page, an MSEO doorway page that is developed in Spanish. Now the good news is you don't need to translate your entire website. The whole idea around MSEO is creating this page on your website that essentially shows up in the search engines when someone's looking for your book. But what you do is you give them a brief introduction of what the book's about, and then at the very end you want to say very quickly, look, if you want to do business or read this book, you need to get more information, and everything else that you will discover on this website is in English. And then you invite them to continue forward in English, as this site will do. Now the good news is statistics from multilingual search engine optimization consultants called MSEO.com, they say that the good news is 85 to 90% of these non-English searchers will choose to continue on to your English website. Because we all know there's a lot of people around the world that do speak English, but again, their native or first language is something else, so they tend to search on the internet in that language. But all they have to do is find your doorway page and your invitation for them to come learn more about your book in English, and at that point they will click through and do that. And quite frankly, if they don't click through to do business with you in English or to buy your book and read it in English, then they weren't a good potential customer for your book or your subsequent products and services that you're going to try to sell them as a nonfiction author. Many of you are coaches and consultants and people selling information products, and you really want to sell those information products to your prospective customers in English, right? So what you're really trying to do is attract them and get them to click on over to your site. So one of the companies you can deal with to do that is this company called MSEO.com. I have no affiliation with them, but they are a company that for about $500 a language will do the doorway page for you. It's really not that difficult to do. If you are using your own WordPress site and you know how to put copy and edit a WordPress site, certainly you can create your own translated doorway page with just that, again, a brief description of what it is your book's about, and then an invitation to continue over to learn more about your book in English. But if you look at MSEO.com's website here, I mean, if you think about all the variety of people that are out there that may want to read your book, whether it's a romance mystery or whether it's a non-fictional book about how to start a small business, there are a lot of people out there that you're not reaching today if you're relying strictly on Amazon's Kindle store to distribute your book. And we've had other videos that discuss how you can distribute your book, more globally. But this particular video was all about getting you to think about multilingual search engine optimization. And I would encourage you, if you want to learn more about that, just visit ezGlobalPublishing.com and look for subsequent videos and ways of getting that done through the resources tab. So once again, this is John Weisenberger from ezGlobalPublishing.com, and I look forward to talking to you again in the next video.